Hi, kia ora, good morning. I'm just giving you a quick update on what I've been doing. Um, Now that the whole end thing is being dealt with, and I'm sitting back watching the Trump carnage and all of that, I'm getting back to what I was doing before all of this started, which is the Night of the Black Sun. So I've been putting the finishing touches on the storyline, adding into the equation, the market stall scene from my dream. Although obviously it's probably not going to be set in London, it will be set in America and all of that. I'm still going to put that scene in the movie because it's epic. But I've still got a couple of tunes to write and I've got to thread it together. But I had an incredible talk with my boy yesterday who came up with a brilliant idea in regards to the helicopter. I don't even know why I didn't think of it myself, but it would save a lot of money. It's going to save a lot of money. I've had to slightly tweak the storyline to make it more realistic and believable. Um, all the all the little breadcrumbs I had dropped in the past, I've now brought together in order to turn it into a loaf of bread, so to speak. By which I mean I've taken all the bits that I'd left in the past in regards to the storyline and now I've threaded it into a full story from start to finish. It starts with this happens, that happens. I've just got to, I just had to thread it all together. And now that I've probably got about 60% of the songs of the tunes written and documented, it's only filling in a bit of the rest and then adding the narration. I've decided what I'm going to do when I get to America. When I put the casting call out, obviously we'll set the social media up only to deal with the stuff to do with the auditions and that, so that people can look at the casting call, the casting list, and see what they think they might be able to pull off for the musical and all of that, because that's my primary concern right now, is getting the musical sorted. And then we can deal with the first sign once we've got a location to shoot. Once we've actually got somewhere to build, then the next thing after that will be making the first sign, which is our version of Harry Potter. But for now, my focus is on the Night of the Black Sun. So, what I was just saying was that we'll do auditions in New York, we'll do auditions in Florida, and then maybe like Georgia area, Texas, California, and maybe Michigan kind of area. And then, people can travel, but we will also do, I'll accept audition tapes and Zoom auditions. If they're good, we can Zoom them if they can't travel to where we're going to have, actually hold the auditions. And then, we'll travel around and hold the auditions. And I really, really, really want my son with me. I'm really, really hoping my son will be one of the judges because he helped me write this musical. And he's the one that's going to be, because he was going to be in the movie. He's going to be in the musical and he's going to be in the movie. And I really want to try and make the movie pretty quickly after doing the musical. So a lot of the cast in that would be the ones that he's acting with. I will not be playing the role of mum in the movie, but I want her character to be like Linda Hamilton a bit. She starts off being like this wealthy woman who owns all these successful businesses and this kids camp and all of that sort of thing, and she's out shooting on location to do some media based thing with her cameraman, and when all hell breaks loose, she has to kind of drop the business empress persona, and strap on a shotgun and a baseball bat sort of thing in order to be able to get to her kids, who are going to be like a couple of states away. It's going to take her at least a day or two to get to them from where she is, sort of thing. I'm thinking like 2 days minimum. So she ends up, I've just written a scene, just finished writing a scene where she turns up at the broadcasting studios, and like there's like this whole thing, and yeah, so I've been filling in all the gaps in the story, and now I've pretty much got a complete story written out. I just need to type it out once I have access to typing apparati, and then work with my musicians with the music that I have already, and my script writers and that, to turn it into an actual, so that we can perform it live on air. And because of the subject matter, because we're going to be raising awareness for human trafficking, and that, if there's nowhere that'll let us broadcast this in a park, which is ideally what I want, if nobody's going to let us, put on this zombie rock apocalypse to raise awareness for human trafficking, we'll just perform it live in my house, and I'll broadcast it out through the radio, my internet radio station, if I have to. I'm thinking of all sorts of alternatives, but this musical will be going ahead. I'm not going to stop at anything. I'm stopping at nothing. I've put years into this musical, and then my son came along with a brilliant idea. I've just got one little tweak to make in regards to the farmhouse scene, and then we're all sorted. I've got like I've got all sorts of, like, there's a whole big thing going on at the border between America and Canada. We've got like a whole going into a town, like that liminal space, empty town, going into the supermarket sort of thing going on. I've got it all covered, so I'm about 60% there with the music. So that's what I've been working on, where I've been having to come up from the underworld to deal with the Anne Widdecombe thing, bless her heart, and then going back down to write what I need to write. The other thing I've been working on, which I haven't said anything about, is some of my favourite movies in the whole world. Tu Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar, Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, and Connie and Carla. So, but I also love Heartbreak Ridge, and so Heartbreak Ridge, yeah. So I want to do a kind of sister act sort of thing, movie, where a drag queen witnesses a crime and has to go on the run. I just don't know whether to make. I mean, I want to make it a comedy, but I don't know how serious I want to make it. But I want to make it a comedy where basically he has to go on the run and go, like with Connie and Carla, how they went undercover as drag queens in order to escape because they witnessed a crime. It's just very twisty-turny, but where I kind of want to, because there's going to be shootouts. Dog Day Afternoon, kind of, how he robs the bank to get the money so his girlfriend can have, his boyfriend can have the operation to turn into a girl and all that. I'm going down that line. It's Dog Day Afternoon, Connie and Carla, Sister Act. It's sort of twisty-turny, but there's going to be gunfights and all of that sort of thing. So I've kind of sort of slowly been working on that. What was I going to call it? I'm not. But I said to my son, his drag name will be Fifi Alexander, because when I grew up with the LGB community of Sydney in Australia, they told me that your drag name is the name of your first pet and the first street you ever lived on. And the first pet that I remember was Fifi, my mum's little Pekingese dog, and we lived in Alexander Street, so his drag name is going to be Fifi Alexander. And yeah, he witnesses a crime and he has to go on the run, and then there's this whole dramatic thing with his trans girlfriend who does like a whole like dog day afternoon thing, and it's just kind of funny, but it's a bit serious as well, but it's a bit funny because you know how like with Priscilla Queen of the Desert and Tu Wong Fu, how they were comedies but there were very very serious scenes in it, like with Heartbreak Ridge and that it was a serious movie but there were funny bits in it. I kind of, you know, like I don't know, they're called black comedies, but they're comedies but there's like a dark side to it. Sister Act was the same, but they were a bit more light-hearted with it. But I want it to be lovable like Dog Day Afternoon. So I've been working on that as well, and that's what I've been doing because, you know, I've got to represent, and it's got nothing to do with being woke because I'm not woke, and I don't support the whole DEI thing, and I'm not woke. But the LGB community, and I don't add the T because if you're the T, you're a gay man. You're gay, and you dress up. The T is performance art, as far as I'm concerned. The the I don't do the whole pronouns thing. If you want to go by pronouns, that's fine, but you're either gay, straight, or trans, and you have you identify with one sexuality regardless of your identity. And it's all about who you're sexually attracted to and not the skin that you wear on the outside. And for me, I'm LGB and the drag community. I grew up with the drag community. I grew up in the 90s and that with the drag community where gay men dressed as women for performance art and that sort of thing. And if you have the operation to become a woman, then you're a woman. If you have the operation to become a man, then you're a man. But it's for me, it's all about your sexual identity and not the mask you wear on the outside, because it's all irrelevant when it comes to who you fall in love with. Who you're sexually attracted to is your sexual identity. Then your sexual identity has nothing to do with your biological pronoun, as far as I'm concerned. Do you know what I mean? So it's L, G, or B. You see? So, and I grew up with it, and that was my cousin David's whole life and community, and he introduced me to that side of life when I moved to Sydney, Australia, and that. So I don't want to leave anyone out. And you know, like I've got characters in various things like Lucian's Dragon. We have a non-identifiable, I suppose you would call it non-binary. It's just that he's a boy, but you can't, like androgynous. You can't tell whether this little sproutling is male or female. Because he's representative of bi, because he's my son's character and my son is bi. So it's got nothing to do with non-binary and everything to do with he hasn't he will love who he loves, but the gender has nothing to do with it. If he falls in love with a man, he's going to fall in love with a man. If he falls in love with a girl, he's going to fall in love with a girl, but he wants to get married and he wants to have children. He said that time and time and time and time and time again. But who he is in Lucian's Dragon is a little green sproutling, and you can't tell with trees and seeds without going into it from a molecular point of view whether they're male or female. Do you see what I mean? You can't tell just by looking at a tree if it's male or female. And that's his character in Lucian's Dragon, and he's got a very important role in Lucian's Dragon too, because he's the one that sends Lucian on the right path to get to Anahita's cottage in order to get the maps that he needs to find Dragon Mountain. So So I've got a couple of characters that are either gay or, but that it's not important. It's just that who the characters are based on are people in my life who are gay in real life. And just because I've got like gay friends or gay family members, I'm not going to disrespect them by making them straight characters. If they inspired me to write them into my story, like with my cousin David, I'm not going to make him a straight male because that would be disrespectful to David because he wasn't a straight male. He was a gay man who his drag name was Daphne. And, you know, like he took his own life because he didn't feel like he fit into this world. And so I was 21, 22 when he died. He was 26. And ever since then, I've been determined to make sure that I represent him and who he was in his memory correctly. So, you know, it's like I was saying to my son when I was telling him the idea for this movie, it's in honour of David. It's for my cousin David. It gives him a voice. It remembers him. It brings him into the storyline because his passing really affected me and my family, and I'll never forget everything he taught me about the LGB community. I mean, one of his best friends was a backup dancer for Kylie Minogue, and he used to come around all the time for my Sunday roast. That my Sunday chicken roasts were very famous within the LGB community of Sydney. Um, so yeah, so this movie that I'm writing is kind of in honor of my cousin David Arlington Watson. So, you know, I want to represent everybody. I'm going to represent everybody in the movies we make and the things that we sell and the festivals we have. Um, I want to represent everyone because it takes all sorts of fruit to make a fruit salad. You need all sorts of ingredients to make a casserole. You know, you don't just have one ingredient. It takes all sorts to make the world go round. And I'm not going to leave anyone out. And yeah, so Birdcage, oh my God, Birdcage is like probably my all-time favourite movie. Nathan Lane. Fifi's partner, the dramatic one, his whole or her role, her character is totally based on Albert in the Birdcage. Nathan Lane's Albert, you know that sort of dramatic, you bastard, because he says you're not a woman. He's like, oh, why do you hurt me? And I love that movie so much. But yeah, the character in it, his partner, his girlfriend, is totally Nathan Lane. Totally Nathan Lane inspired. He just brought that whole movie to life. So, yeah, so I have to write a whole thing in with explosives and drama and, yeah, and then turning out he totally misunderstood the situation and, you know, just making everything complicated and then getting caught up in a whole poop storm and so yeah. So one of the characters that I've written in it and Fifi's storyline is and I'm going to have one of the characters be called Daphne in honor of David because that was his drag name. I can't remember if he had a last name. I just know he was Daphne, and he basically was like kind of a cross between Diana Ross and Milli Vanilli. Oh, bless him. So he was the one, it was a couple of weeks after he died, he came to me in a dream and said, I want you to tell everybody that drag queens do go to heaven. And he had like this big glittery gown on with this massive like afro wig because he was Māori, so he's, you know, brown skin, black hair, dark brown eyes, really, really olive skin. And he's my first cousin. His dad and my mum are brother and sister. And yeah, and he had this big afro wig on, and he like had this like butterfly gown on that was all like rainbow coloured and glittery and sparkly, and he said, I'd let everyone know that drag queens do go to heaven. And because like this was in the 90s, and this was at a time when people were still a bit meh, you know. So I'm from the generation that fought for the rights of the LGBT community. I grew up at a time where you couldn't even tell people that, you know, what your sexual identity was at work. People were still getting beaten up for being gay. And it's my generation that fought the hardest. We're the ones that had to, we lost so many to HIV and AIDS and, you know, gay rights and all of that sort of thing. My generation fought the hardest. We lost the most because we lost so many to the pandemic that they forced on the gay community, because HIV and AIDS is basically COVID, just a COVID variant. And now, obviously, with COVID, one of the symptoms of COVID now, one of the side effects is HIV and AIDS, like monkeypox and all that, is all a variant of HIV and AIDS and that. So, yeah, so my generation made the biggest sacrifices for the greatest push in order for kids like my son to be able to stand up with pride and without fear to say, I love who I love, regardless of who their gender is. So, and having said that, he's had girlfriends, biological girlfriends. So, you know, I'm giving him the freedom to decide for himself, because that's what we're supposed to do, and I love him and support him regardless of whatever choice he makes. But he's not woke either. He knows he's a man. He doesn't want to be anything other than a man. He wants to have children, whether that's with a wife or a husband. But he wants to have children, his own biological children. My cousin David had a daughter. He helped a lesbian couple have a baby. He donated his sperm so that they could have their baby. Beautiful little thing. And then he died not long after she was born. But he left his legacy, you know. And as far as from last I heard, in that she was doing really well, raised by two parents who love her and all of that. So as much and all as what I love, and I just admired her with every ounce of my being, I didn't see eye to her on her with a lot of things. You know, especially when it came to gay rights and all of that, because I'm of the opinion that God doesn't make mistakes. That's what my mother said. My Catholic mother was, when I said to her, because I've got a few cousins in that are either L, G, or B. And when I was a teenager, I said to her, what do you think God really thinks about gay people? And she said, God doesn't make mistakes. You're born exactly how God needed you to be born. You know, like, because in my culture, trans people, or, you know, the feminine masculine and the masculine feminine sexual identity, Polynesian people don't question that sort of thing. We're not afraid of it. We call them twin souls. Islanders, Fa'afine, I think it means the twin soul, and they're considered a blessing because they get to have the best of both worlds. And most of the Fa'afine of the Polynesian world, they're rugby players who perform drag at night, sort of thing, you know. So, and it's like I said, I also never grew up with racism as well. It wasn't until I left Polynesia that I got hit with the realization that, you know, according to British people, I'm black. I'm an uneducated black blood. They don't see me as being white. And it's like my boy said, and yet you're as white as snow. You're as white as snow, but everybody here thinks you're black. So even my 16-year-old, or was it my 17-year-old, had identified that fact. So so I'm representing, and if people don't like that, they don't have to watch my movies. I'm not doing this for anybody other than giving the kids something to do. And it's inevitable that I'm going to have kids come to my school who are L, G, or B. They're either going to be bi, gay, or lesbian. And I'm certainly not going to make them feel excluded in any way, shape, or form. So I just, that's what I've been doing. I've been keeping myself busy. I'm in the underworld. I'm writing and doing all of this, and then I come back up when I get called to deal with Anne Widdecombe stuff or to laugh at how badly SpaceX is doing and how AI is crashing on its ass, and most of the AIs and the tech bros are going bankrupt, and it's hilarious because it's everything I said was coming. So, but I don't want to be having to deal with that. I just want to focus on getting all my ducks in a row so that when my cage is open and I can fly and fly out, I've got everything ready to go. And the first thing I want to do, other than my IT company and games company, is this musical and getting the auditions for the musical. And then once I find a location and I've got everyone, like my sister and my kids and all that, like all settled and ready to go, and I know where I'm building, while that's all going on, then we'll look at making Night of the Black Sun into a horror. It will be our first horror, and the first sign will be our first feature film, and then we can get the games and all that and the streaming service like all set up in the background. So I've got my plan. Everything's all planned. I've been going over the plan with my sister. I've been going over the plan with my kids, because as soon as that starting gate is up, I'm out. Pew! And I'm speeding like the Roadrunner. And I can't wait. And the more I create and the more it's all starting to come together, the more, I suppose you could say impatient, but it's anticipatory. I'm anticipating, like, come on, come on, come on, come on, let's do this, because like the people are gathering around me now. I've got people who are gathering around me who are wanting to be a part of what I'm building. For like, finally, I've finally got people coming to my side, who want to be a part of what it is I'm creating. They're wanting to actively play roles in what I'm creating. I was just going over my nephew Jacob's job yesterday, and what's going to be expected of him, in his role, and because he would be helping run the Beyond Life program. I'm also going to have to track down some judges and ask them to help me find, kids that could do with avoiding juvie and maybe being sent to our school instead to be part of the comic book program. If they're artists or musicians, or sorry, artists or writers, and saying, like, instead of going to juvie, you're going to go here and work on this comic book program. We're giving you the opportunity to recorrect everything you got wrong. But if you break the law, if you're going to have a probation officer that you check in on, and if you violate the terms and conditions, then you'll go to prison. I think most kids wouldn't look that gift horse in the mouth. If I could work with people like Judge Judy and Judge Fleischer, Ralph Fleischer is his name, I just adore him. And Frank Caprio, is it Caprio? He was brilliant. If I could find judges like them three, I think I could set up a pretty good internship with kids who made mistakes, but where it may be where the judges would make the decision to give them a second chance, rather than putting that stain on their character, giving them the second chance to get it right. But where they would have to leave inner city New York or wherever the judges were, where they'd have to and come out to the countryside where we are to work with the comic book program. So show them, which was originally what the Art of Creation Foundation was supposed to be, in the inner cities of New York, to get the kids off the street and away from the gangs. But yeah, it didn't turn out that way. It turned out better. And now the Art of Creation Foundation isn't like an inner city thing. It's become like a whole empire and an animated TV series, The Art of Creation. So yeah, so that's what I've been doing. So I was just letting you know. So I'm still rattling some tunes down in my head that I'm trying to. I'm listening to a lot of music to get inspired for my writing. I'm listening to a lot of soft rock and that at the moment. And obviously following the Cello Brick Road, listening to a lot of Yodok cello because I just love him as a musician. He's so incredibly talented. He's just, I don't know what it is, other than the fact that he introduced me to like Brahms and all that, because before I was just Tchaikovsky and Mozart and all that, but now it's Wagner and Rachmaninoff and all of that. He inspired he listening to his music somehow gave me the courage to realize I can write an opera. So, and even though I'm not a fan of opera, I'm a fan of what I'm writing in this opera. So I've slowly been falling in love with opera, but it has to be a certain kind of opera, and certainly my opera is going to be phenomenal. So I had to put that to the side in order to focus on Night of the Black Sun, because that's going to be the immediate thing we do as soon as my feet hit the ground when we get to New York. So I've got to focus on, I've kind of had to cast my net wide, but now I'm pulling the net in to see what I've caught. And the first thing I need to focus on is the Night of the Black Sun fish that's been pulled out the net. So everything else I can deal with it the more people I get on board. But the fact that I've now got people who are on board, who are willing to give up their lives and move to different countries and that sort of thing, it's given me the courage and the inspiration and the push and the drive to get it done. And then I can focus on my opera, because then, even if while everything else has been built in the background and the only thing we've got on my plot of land is an arena where we can perform our musicals and operas and concerts and stuff to give people to come for the drive and bring their picnic baskets and all that sort of thing, then that's what we'll do for now. But there's a lot of things that I can bring to the table before the school has even been built and ready to go, and we've got kids enrolled to sign up to it, and that I can still put on performances and offer you things. So yeah, so then once that's done, then I'll focus on my opera. And yeah, he's incredibly inspiring, Yoda. When I listen to him, he pours so much love into what he plays. The way that his body reacts to what he plays and the music he's playing in that, it's mesmerizing. He's very inspiring, and I don't even think he realizes how inspiring he actually is. I give him a lot of shit. I tease him. I give him a lot of shit. I message him and I give him a lot of shit. I keep it real with him, so he doesn't go floating off with a head like a balloon full of ego and that. But yeah, he probably thinks, what the hell? But I helped him with this whole fake Yodok thing, and now he's gone public with it as well. So I keep an eye on him. But I love watching him perform. I hope I get to watch him perform in real life. That's kind of like a goal of mine, is I want to be able to get tickets to see him perform. Maybe take my boys so that my boys could see him, and know that he's a real person. But yeah, no, I would like to see him perform, because he's hypnotic. He's just, it's it's like playing his cello brings him to life. It's nothing else exists between him and his cello but the music, and it takes him to a higher place, and I see it. It's like he glitters like gold when he performs, and it's just mesmerizing to watch. So yes, so he's inspired me, just like Charles Dickens has inspired me. I get inspired by the world around me, and without him, I wouldn't have written The Girl Who Saved Two Kings. I never thought in a million years that I would be composing my own music and that I would be writing an opera and a cabaret. But I am, and it's because of him, because of what he inspired in me. He unlocked something in me that I didn't know was there, that I wouldn't have known was there if our paths hadn't have crossed. So I'll always be grateful for him for that, and I'll take that with me to America, and maybe one day I can invite him over to come and perform for the crowds, you know, our invited guests sort of thing. He's very busy. He's doing a world tour and all that, so he might not have time for those of us down here in the world of not fame and fortune, but you never know. You never know. I mean, one can only hope, eh? So yeah, so that's what I've been doing, and I'm just laying here because my back is very sore, and usually when my scars are killing me, it hurts my back as well, and my scars are killing me, and so my back is sore. So I'm just resting and taking it easy and listening to music and writing it all in my head, and then taking notes, keeping notes. I got notes on my phone. I got notes on paper, and then I let my sister know and I let my boys know. And I'm telling you now, I've just got one little scene to smooth over with the boys to get the boys' opinion on which way I should go. I lightly touched on it yesterday, but we didn't go any further. But I need to get that because it's a really important scene too. Which way I go with it is going to, either way, it's going to have a massive effect on the audience, like a psychological emotional effect on the audience. So, but I want it to have the best effect. So I'll get the boys' opinions on that, and then that's pretty much like the meat and bones of the storyline all there ready to go. And then it's just filling in the blanks with the last of the song, and then finding, writing the storyline out to it for the narrator to read. And then I think that's, once I get to where I'm going and I get a place where I can get my musicians in and that, we can go over the music and get it all fattened out with my script writers and that, and then I can start putting the casting call out for auditions, and yeah, it's all systems go. So I just got to get out of here. I just got to get my justice, get my money, get my boys, get my sister and my nephews, and get it. And I can't wait, and I'm getting excited because I'm sitting here writing it all, and I'm coming up with better and better and better things. I have to add in the market still scene from my dream, which I'm going to put at the start of the movie, because we're going to do a scene in the movie where it's looking at the world perspective of the zombie apocalypse. So we'll show, scenes from this in from London, this in from Berlin, this in from Paris, this in from Moscow, that sort of thing. And my son came up with a brilliant idea regarding the helicopter, which is going to save me a ton of money. A ton of money. I don't even know why I didn't think of it, but that's why I go to my boys, because when I'm stuck or they see a better way to do it, it's like they just hit the nail on the head every single time, and it just turns it into something better. That's why they're my business partners. That's why I brought them in as my business partners, as my creative directors and my writers and you know. My son was giving me advice about tanks and how to go about doing the whole tank thing, because I need to acquire tanks for, movies and scenes and all of that sort of thing. And yeah, so it's like the wheels are starting to turn, and the horse is starting to move. The wheels are starting to turn, and it's starting to slowly move. I feel like Hell's Moving Castle, you know, when the house when it slowly starts walking down the street, it's like that. And now all these people are saying, I want to be a part of this with you. I don't want to not be a part of this. I just want to be where you are. I want to be a part of it. And I love that because they're coming to me and they're sitting with me and they're listening to my plans and ideas and they're like, yeah, I want to be a part of that too. And I love that because it means that I'm heading in the right direction. I'm finally heading in the direction that I'm meant to be going in. And it was always the original direction I was heading in before all the hurdles were put in my path, but I turned all those hurdles into stepping stones. And each hurdle became a stepping stone, which became a movie, a video game, a TV show, a book, a comic, you know, so a musical, another business idea. And it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And now I'm drawing people into my orbit. And I've got more people helping me pedal the bike. So I'm not pedaling on my own now. And I love it. So, yeah, so that's what I've been doing. And I will keep you posted. And I'm going to go back down into the underworld and rest my back and listen to music and get inspired. And I'll speak to you later. Have a beautiful day. Ka kite anō. Mwah.